Cheers, y'all. It's a Bassmaster Classic, Texas style. I'll get that stuff in my beard later, don't worry about it. Mr. Clark Winter, the COBB. Look what we got, folks. Oh, Peter, I'm showing it yours. Hey, look, we found someone new at the Classic. It's Brian New. Nobody break any laws. Well, actually, go ahead and break the homeboy. Chris is out dangerous. Talking about daggum, come and take it. You know what I'm saying? Come and take it. Good luck, Mexico. Well, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to your Lake Fork Guide. It's a Bassmaster Classic 2021. And when you go to the Bassmaster Classic, there is so much more that takes place than the Bassmaster Classic. So we're going to bring you several videos this week from all the aspects that go on at the Bassmaster Classic. Today's video, we're going to feature Media Day. That means we're going to get to go interview the anglers before the tournament starts underneath the stadium in Fort Worth, where they'll be weighing in all these giant bass at the Bassmaster Classic. We're going to get the first look, get to see what the guys are thinking, talk to them about how they think this Classic's going to go down, and probably, you know, tell a couple jokes and make fun of Patrick Walter's short shorts. But it's going to be a great event. Have all the behind the scenes interviews. Also, after that, there's going to be a launch party. Bassmaster puts on a launch party in the stockyards before the Classic kicks off. We're going to that. We're taking the cameras along. Basically, this week, we're going to try to give you the full and complete Classic experience from behind the scenes. Well, we're here on Media Day before the Classic starts, and I found one of the legends of our sport, Mr. Clark Winter. This is the first time I've ever gotten to meet you, but I've watched you a lot over the years, and it's actually an honor to meet you. And thank you very much for taking time to talk to us today. So we appreciate that. Now, going into a Bassmaster Classic on Ray Roberts, is it unfair how much more experience you have than the rest of these guys on this lake?
Well, I've actually never fished this lake before this tournament. I mean, you think about it. When I started fishing regional tournaments in Texas, it was Rayburn, Toledo Bend. We didn't go to Ray Roberts. Livingston, Palestine, those are the lakes we fished. So I've never fished here until practice started. Now, I didn't know that far from my house. I love the fact that it's close, Fort Worth, Texas. I love the Classic in Texas. I think it's going to be a blowout event, but I don't really have a home field advantage other than just that.
No, you don't, and you totally made me look unprepared, because I just assumed that Clark Winter would have had some time on Ray Roberts because of where you're from and how long you've been doing it. That's really interesting. So, well, what do you think of Ray Roberts? It's your first time on it. What are you seeing?
Well, it's a lake. I think I don't know that it's got just tons and tons of bass. I mean, it's got a population and it's got good ones. But that's the thing. There's a lot of good ones in. So that's what it's going to take. You're just going to have to get those big bites. I mean, the way I see it is, if you can get enough bites, you're going to get a few big ones. And so that's kind of what I'm looking at. I want to get enough bites a day to where I can get some of those key, over 4 pound, over 5 pound bites.
And some kind of different conditions right now. I mean, the lake's really high. How high is the lake now?
The lake is about exactly 4 feet high.
4 feet over full pool, so lots of flooded cover along the lake. It's going to take spread fish out, make them get up in the stuff. You feel like that's going to be, with only 54 boats on a lake as big as Ray Roberts, that should really spread everything out to where everybody's kind of doing their own deal and not really getting on top of each other.
I think so. I mean, I've been impressed with, it doesn't seem like a big lake to me, but if you think about it, the creeks are long. They once you get back in those creeks, it just goes and it stays flat for a really long way. And so there's a lot of water, and it seems like guys are really spreading out in my mind.
Total acres in that much, but the fish is bigger than it.
I think it's going to fish pretty big. I think if they were offshore, they might not fish that big, but they're not offshore. I don't think.
I know, and I really thought that was going to be the deal coming into this, being a local guy from around this area. By the time you get to June, you know this, as good as anybody. It's time to get the big plug and that big jig and go look at them on that deal.
Yeah.
But that's not really happening from what I'm hearing.
Well, I mean, you think about it, the water's 4 feet high. I mean, that's pretty much the deal. I mean, I looked at this. I looked at the data of the water level on this lake over the past, say, 4 or 5 years before this year, and almost every year in May and June there's a spike. And I just hoped it would line up with the Bassmaster.
Here we are.
And here we are.
Well, Clark, thank you so much for taking time. It was an absolute pleasure to meet you. Good luck.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. On to the next one. We found the COBB, as they call it, Mr. Brandon Cobb, our 2019 Lake Fork champion. So for all my Lake Fork guys watching the channel, y'all will remember this guy and the shad spawn and sight fishing extravaganza.
It was a fun one.
Listen, I want to talk to you about the Classic, but I'm from Lake Fork. Everything on this channel, a lot of it's about Lake Fork. So let's talk about that for a second.
All right.
Because I've never gotten an interview about that tournament for a couple years now. How awesome was that? I mean, that was just magic.
It was one of those things, like, everything I like to do, happened to be happening at that time. Literally, like all my best strengths of fishing between sight fishing, a shad spawn, and then like post spawn fish still up shallow on the bank. Like literally everything was happening.
You just went your way.
It was, and I had so many different ways to catch them. I mean, between going sight fish and all the shad spawn places, I could catch fish all day and basically never have a slow spell. It was just a dream week of fishing, and that place is. Being Lake Fork, I mean, I know it's always about a dream week of fishing there, but that week was really, really
yeah,
to remember.
You guys hit it really well, and I've told a few people this, and I don't think anybody ever really believes me when I say this, but if you remember that event, it rained a lot, like the night before the event, and as crazy as it was, and as good as y'all caught them, and it was just unbelievable to watch you do what you did. If that rain wouldn't have came, it would have been even worse. Like, it would have been even crazier. Like, y'all would have caught them even better.
I know a shad spawn in general with lightning one night, and that was my worst day was because of that storms, rain, and lightning. Any type of weird weather like that always kind of goofs up a shad spawn, so it kind of surprised me it was as good as it was with the shad spawn because of that.
I mean, you caught 115 pounds, and you had one day where you had what?
14.
You had 14 pounds on one day, and you still caught 115 total. That's insane, man.
Right.
It was an awesome event for sure. Now, everybody saw when you caught that 11-pounder on that bed, and you were like, oh, I think it's a 5-pounder. I think it's a 7-pounder. Was that real? Like
I really had no. It was like 6 foot deep, which anybody that's been on Florida
right, hard to see. Hard to see.
Hard to see. I could tell. I actually didn't even know if it was a bass, not carp at first. Couldn't even tell. I just saw movement, so I had no idea. I mean, I knew it was a big one. I just didn't know, obviously didn't know how big.
Yeah, so. right until she ran away from you. Right until you leaned the hook and she pulled back, and you were like, yeah, that's not a 5-pounder there.
When it rolled up on its side, I realized it was not a 5-pounder.
So what an awesome moment, dude!
I'll never forget. 100%.
Awesome event. So now we're here at Ray Roberts Bassmaster Classic. You have any time on Ray Roberts before this?
I've been here 1 week before. I fished Texas Fest here back in 2016. It was actually really similar conditions back then. I think we're here a little earlier in the year, but this is a delayed year. Everything's kind of held out a little bit, so it's very similar to then. The one difference we had then versus now that makes it feel a good bit different is then the water, it was high, but it was falling. So it really positioned a lot of fish because the water was falling. And this time it's stable, if not coming up some. So it hasn't, to me, it's more scattered than then. A typical flood conditions type tournament where a lot of fish are shallow. Sure, some are out deep too. I'm not really a deep guy, so I probably won't ever look for them. But a lot of fish are shallow because of the high water. They're just really, really scattered because it's coming up, not pulling out.
Yep. It's going to spread the field out. A lot of people covering a lot of water.
I mean,
it's going to fish big.
Yeah, that's one thing. It's not a really big lake, and that's one thing I don't like about shallow water tournaments a lot is, you end up on top of each other. And the one cool thing about here is I think you can win anywhere, truly. I mean, I think it's kind of random. I don't want to say luck, but it does kind of feel like that. You just keep shallow, keep the right bait in your hand. You might catch big ones, but I think it could happen anywhere on the lake.
Is this a deal where this week it's going to kind of be like the guy that fishes the most efficiently, covers the most shallow water, and gets a couple of lucky big bites is that's probably going to be the guy that wins?
I think it is. I still, with it being the time of year it is and the type lake it is, I think there'll be some offshore fish to call.
Somebody's going to find them, right?
Yeah, that's right. And it could honestly be won that way on one of those special places, but I don't think in general there's not a phenomenal offshore bite going on. A lot of the population is still up shallow, which when you got so much, I mean, when you're talking, you've got willow bushes, willow trees in 3 foot of water. You got buckbrush in 4 foot of water. You got 400 yards of flooded grass, flooded all kinds of stuff. They're just kind of everywhere, and I've caught fish from the outside edge to places I couldn't fit my boat hardly, trying to fight through the trees all the way at the actual water line. So it's one of those things where just fish scattered up everywhere, and it's going to be make the right decisions at the right time to catch some of those big ones.
We're going to see a lot of flipping, swim jig, and frog rods this week, right?
That's right. You'll see 100% power fishing.
That's right.
Might be a few finesse gear fish caught, but you're going to see some big string, big baits, and boat flipping.
And big fish. Man, y'all know how we do it on this channel. That's lighting me up because going into this, I really didn't think it was going to be an offshore event. And until I got here and started talking to you guys, I still thought it was going to be offshore. But I'm more excited now than I was because as fun as it would have been to watch somebody dial in something offshore and maybe use forward-facing sonar or something kind of unique for a classic. Give me the big rod and boat.
I would prefer this. It'll be fun. It makes it a little stressful because it's a little random. Yeah. But you know what can happen? It's fun fishing.
It is fun because you just get after it.
Yeah, that's right.
You get the trolling motor going and
that's right. And what's cool about it is too, like there's fish everywhere. scene, right? So it's not like you pull up, oh man, somebody's fishing this area. I have to go over here.
Yeah, the whole lake's finally at post spawn. They're all up there. Yeah.
Yeah, you can just cover water and try to go after it.
That's great. Well, Brent, it's great to meet you. Thank you so much
Great talking to you.
Good
to
luck.
meet you too.
Go get them this week. Look what we got, folks. Oh, Peter, I'm showing the shorts.
Shorts out. You know it. Hey, it's Texas. It's hot.
It is hot.
Everything's bigger in Texas except these shorts.
St. Patrick's
We're keeping them short now.
That's right. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Hey, you're going to be the most comfortable dude on the water this week when it's not.
That is a fact. It's going to be warm, and as long as we don't get sunburned on them thighs, we'll be okay.
Hey, are we going to see you doing this deal at all this week?
I think so. A little bit. I'm going to fish the bank a good bit, but you know, it works. There's timber and it's Texas. You know, there is some fish out, but the lake is 3 foot high almost. It's got a lot of fish pushed up on the bank. But I will deploy that live scope.
You're going to look at, you're going sight fishing this week a little bit.
You know, yeah. I'm going to be sight fishing no matter what. Whether I'm looking at a bush or I'm looking at him on a piece of wood, he's going to be out there.
Well, that's right, man. What do you think we're going to catch some big? We're going to see some big fish this week.
I think we are going to see some big fish. You know, there's not a lot of quantity in Ray Roberts, but there's a lot of big ones. I think somebody will catch a 9 to 10 pound fish. You know, it's Texas. It's got a lot of big fish, and there will be some big bass caught this week in the Bassmaster Classic.
Heck yeah, brother. Well, thanks for always taking time to talk to us, man.
Billy,
go win this thing, will you? Go win this thing, dog. Let's go. Hey, look, we found someone new at the Classic. It's Brian New. Literally, somebody new to the Classic, man. Your first Bassmaster Classic. Killed it in Opens last year. Won your first Elite Series event. What about that? How'd that feel?
Pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome. I mean, you can't describe it.
Can't even
Pretty awesome.
Like
No.
they ain't buying that in Hollywood, you know. But it happened in real life with Brian New, man. Congratulations on that. Now it's time for your first Classic.
Yeah.
What are we feeling, man? Nerves? How are we feeling?
No nerves. Little pain in the wrist. Not much, just a little.
What we do here?
Fractured a little bone, but first day of practice. It's all good. A little speed bump. We're gonna.
You gonna set the hook?
Slide.
I'm looking at your right-handed retriever.
You see my lefties?
I see you lefty. Now I see you
Abu sent me
lefty.
some lefties for this
There you go.
tournament. But first class. First league. First open I ever fished last year. Was good. So first class.
There might be something. Why not?
Why not?
I mean, just the trifecta first.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm looking forward to it.
I'm not gonna argue with this guy. This is Brian New. He wins the first event he fishes every time. Go win your first class.
I'm gonna try, man.
It's great to meet you. Thank you for
Yes,
taking the
sir.
time.
You too.
Nobody break any laws. Well, actually, go ahead. Go ahead and break the law.
No, I don't do criminal.
Because we got the attorney here.
All civil.
All civil.
No criminal.
All right. Well, if anybody's suing you, I found the guy
That's right.
that can take you to some bass fishing holes and represent you.
I can help.
The barrister.
That's right.
Mr. Ed.
Lock.
I know how to say it. You taught me last fall.
That's right.
When you had a great event at Lake Forest. Man, you had an awesome event there at Lake Forest. Last fall, 2020, the Patrick Walters exhibition.
Yes.
But then behind that, there was another tournament. You were right there.
Yeah, I was. I stayed in second place through the tournament until the last day where I faltered a little bit. But
Of course, Keith got his crankbait going.
he did. and,
He
you know,
always gets that crankbait going for it.
You knew it was going to happen. It was just a matter of time. But I do remember you said, after the second day when I talked to you, maybe it was the third day, you said, what's going on with Patrick Walters? Maybe you got a chance to catch up. And I said, I know how this is going to happen.
He did.
So
That
I
was
know
after
what
day
he's
two.
doing,
Yeah.
and he's going to get it. He doesn't give up. So but it was a good event, and this year forgot me, like I told you a little earlier this year. That faltered the second day, a bad day. That's the way it goes. But I'm sure we'll be back.
It goes up and down. I mean, the guy who won this year has had the same thing happen to him at 14 May as well, where he slipped and didn't make the cut. And it can happen at any tournament to anybody. So, but is this your first Bassmaster Classic?
This is my first spot.
That's what I thought. So how are you feeling about that?
Pretty good. I've been trying to make it here for a very, very long, wanting to make it here for a very, very long time. So last weigh-in that I was at for the Bassmaster Classic, 1990 in Richmond, Virginia, and I told myself I was not going to another classic until I was in it.
You were playing.
And here I am. Only took 31 years.
Well, you know what?
Better late than never.
You've done it faster than I have.
That's right. You got time.
No, that's been that's great. Congratulations. I mean, that's a lifetime achievement for a basketball player, right? I mean, it's just great to be here. But we're not just gonna be here. We're gonna go flip bug.
We are.
Cover some water.
We are going to
Stay
cover a
shallow.
lot of water. I'm going to stay shallow unless something strange happens. I'm going to stay shallow, flipping the D-bomb, missing baits D-bomb the whole time. I literally think that I am pitching 6, 7, 8 times a minute. So moving along. And yesterday I probably made 2,500 pitches, something like that, maybe 3,000, and I had 9 or 10 bites. So covering water, it's a big deal here. Not a ton of fish, but I think I got a chance if I get 2 lucky bites a day. That's my goal.
That's the deal. The guy that can be real efficient, cover the most water, and get a couple lucky bites, bigger bites, he's going to have a chance to win.
That's it. I saw a couple in practice, one between 5 and 6, one between 4 and 5, and they were spread out over 4 days. But if I can get a little lucky, get those bites in one day, and then the second day, and then the third day, I might be close at least at the end.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to talk to you throughout the event, man. Ed, best of luck. Thank you, as always, for being a friend of us here. Appreciate your time.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
First class.
Keep watching.
That's right. Y'all keep watching. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Well, we've caught up with one of the local favorites, for sure. Maybe the local favorite, considering how far do you live from here?
From here, I live like 28 minutes, 30 minutes.
28 minutes. The homeboy, Chris Zal Dangerous.
What's up, guys?
Awesome,
Yeah, man, I'm
brother.
pumped, dude. I'm getting to stay in my own bed this week, and it's kind of weird though, dude, because like normally at a classic, I've been to a few of these. Normally, like, okay, here's the boatyard, there's the hotel, and there's the lake type of thing. And normally I know how much time I need to spend in the boatyard doing tackle and equipment and stuff like that. I know where the hotel is. The hotel is just for sleeping and a cocktail. And then there's a lake that's just for fishing. Now I'm staying at home, which is nice because I know where everything is and everything, but it's like I'm not caught up with my tackle. I'm not caught up with this, that, and the other thing.
The distractions of
I got
home.
like family over there and everything, but I wouldn't have it any other way, man. It's really cool. So it's kind of throwing me off of my normal classic routine. But luckily here at Lake Ray Roberts, I'm not fishing a whole bunch of rods. I'm not like, junk fishing around. I got some history here. I've won a truck here with a big bass. I like what I saw in practice. Spent a lot of time out here in the off season idling around, looking at those pond dams, looking at all those old house foundations, maybe did a little brush piling. But I have all this stuff marked out there in 18 to 22 feet of water, and right now the fish are, they're programmed to head out to the middle of the lake. It's June, the water temperatures are rising, summertime, the fish know it, they do it every year. Okay, it's June, let's go out. Well, Mother Nature dumps 4 feet of water into the lake, and now Mother Nature's telling them to go back the other way and get back in the woods where there's 4 feet of water in the woods. There's shad up there, there's bluegill up there, there's carp, there's gar. Everything's up shallow right now. So I think in that 4 box, that Bass Live 4 box, you're going to see bushes in every single box on Bass Live. You guys will see me on Bass Live the first day, being the hometown guy, but I'm going to try to break that mold a little bit. I'll do the brush thing for, maybe 40% of the day, but if I'm going to win it, I'm either going to win it way offshore, or I'm going to win it with one of those big giant swim baits.
That was what I wanted to ask you next. Everybody looks forward to seeing you throw the big baits. Oh, well, how much are we going to see that this week? How much of that are we going to see this week?
You are, and here's why. Early on day one, well, no, it wasn't early because I made a few adjustments and I went to the bank on day one. I'm like, man, this water's high, so I went to one of my coves and just chilling and threw a frog up there, and one nose is up on it. I'm like, man, that's weird. Didn't eat it, so I go over there. Dude's on a bed, 3.5 pounder on a bed, and I start going down the bank, and there's a 4 pounder, and then there's a 6 pounder, and it's just like, okay, everything's late. But I wasn't thinking, oh, this is going to be a bed.
Are you telling me
Dude,
we're going to see you sight fishing on live tomorrow morning?
No, I hope not. I hope not. But here's what that did was there's bedfish and everything, but I was like, well, if there's bedfish, that opens up a swim bait opportunity, because swim bait fishing is always good, like during the spawn, pre-spawn, or immediate post-spawn. And when they're looking for a big, easy meal like that, I love feeding it to them. So when I saw that, I wasn't like, we're going to catch a bunch on beds. It was like, heck yeah, we can break out the big bait because we're so close to the spawn. We're not like...
That's funny.
We're not typical summer pattern.
That's just cool to hear your mental perspective on... I love to sight fish. I do a lot of sight fishing. So if I go in and I see a bunch of fish on beds, my thought is going to be, ooh, I get to catch them on beds. And Zaldane goes, ooh, look, they're on beds. I can catch them on a swim bait.
Yeah, I'm going to go. I'm gonna go fish. Yeah.
No, that's just really cool
I'm gonna
perspective,
go,
though.
Yeah, I'm gonna go fish main points. I'm gonna go fish secondary points.
Go do some of that shallow point deal like we do on Fork, right?
Yeah, that's it, man.
Yeah.
That's it. So
this lake has some of that.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Oh,
it does set up a
yeah,
little bit
shallow
like
clay,
Fork.
Shallow clay points, of course, lots of stumps and trees, and big bass. I mean, here's the thing about from Ray Roberts to Lake Fork. There aren't a lot of fish in Ray Roberts. There really aren't. But when you get a bite, it's a freaking big one. They're healthy. They're fat. They're just like they're healthy here. They're Texas Parks and Wildlife fish.
Yes.
They're taken care of. The population just isn't there. There's a little bit of a mayfly hatch going on. I saw some branches with the mayflies hanging off of them, but I like casted my frog up there and shook it, and all these mayflies are everywhere. They landed, and I was just sitting there watching, but nothing was eating. Catfish. I saw catfish come up. But normally when that happens, there's bluegill, there's bass, and all that. But this year's been so screwed up in Texas. It's like,
Well, one thing, Chris, that I've said about Fork right now, and you tell me it's maybe kind of what's happening to Ray Roberts, is like there's a little bit of fish doing a whole lot of things.
Bunch of things.
But there's not a whole lot of fish doing any one
no,
thing.
that's a good way of putting it. That's a really good way of putting it. It's that's the whole state right now, like literally the whole state. And not to mention,
It's June. This is the first sunny 90 day we've had that
I know
of.
it is. I got back from Gunnersville just a couple weeks ago, and I looked at the ground. Everything was saturated. And since I've been home for the last like 8 or 9 days, I've had one sunny day. Like this is it, and then maybe one other sunny day, and that's it.
Well, around here we normally get a lot of 90 weather in May.
I know.
We've had none.
Hot. Normally super hot. The fish should be offshore and brush and all that, but
Now we're
it's
just gonna-
not it.
So we're just gonna do
so
everything.
yeah. So my kind of home lake advantage thing kind of decimated a little bit. So now really the only advantage I have is that big guy. So and I'll be chucking it. I mean, it's that trophy sitting in that room over there. It's 15 bites away. It's just 15 bites is all you need.
How fired up, keyed up, emotionally, what is it like? I know you want this. Like everybody knows you. We've seen like
So bad,
you're so
dude.
good
Yeah, so
allowing
bad.
us to get into your emotional mindset. How keyed up? Like what's your head at right now?
The whole hometown thing, that's huge, and it's my in-laws. I mean, I'm from California originally. I live in Fort Worth, Texas here for about 8 years now. And my wife's whole family, my wife fishes the opens, but my whole family, or her whole family, like grew up fishing and like literally pioneering the bass fishing in this whole area. Her old man like has fished the Cowtown so-and-sos, the Cowtown this and this. And so like the bass fishing heritage around like the Dallas-Fort Worth area is like huge, and their name is a part of that. So to do it here, I mean, that would be freaking amazing. We walked through that hallway just a little bit ago, and we did a little sound check on the auditorium, the big Jumbotron, the bass level, and like the music, the lights. Like this is the sickest stage I've ever seen. I fished like 6 or 7 of these classics. That is the sickest stage, and I want to win on that stage.
You want that to be your stage come
Y'all,
Sunday.
so bad. So, and if it's going to happen, it's not going to be talking about that 4 box. It's not going to be doing what the rest of these guys are doing. They're all going to be flipping and frogging bushes. I'm going to do something different. I'm going to do a little bit of that, but it's all going to boil down to the weights will be tight, and it's going to boil down to 1 or 2 bites, and hopefully it'll be on one of those big baits.
Is that something you think is going to really come into play this week? Is 1 or 2 key, maybe whatever you want to call them? It's not
That's
really
it.
lucky, but the key big bites, like the guy that can get that 1 or 2 a day. Is that going to be the
One
deal?
of the guys today say who's flipping exclusively, a good friend of mine, and he's just like, yeah, everyone's gonna be flipping bushes. I'm like, yeah, you're right. And he goes, dude, it's gonna be a flipping lottery. It's like you kind of have to get lucky with a couple big bites a day to have a shot at winning, and that's kind of true. And the other thing about Ray Roberts that a lot of these guys don't know about, the personality of this lake, it is such a flip-flopping lake. You may crack them one day in an area or a cove or a technique, and then if you're expecting to go back the next day and do that with the same conditions, you're crazy on this lake. It is so weird like that.
I've always heard that.
Yes, and I think it's because the population is so low. Like they're not. And then when they get offshore,
It's like you burn through the fish faster.
Yes, yeah. And when they get offshore, it's not like a Kentucky lake or even a fork where you're grinding a 10XT or something through them and you're catching them every cat. They don't school up like that out there. It's like one here, one there.
Just not
don't
enough of
expect
them.
them. It's,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's weird. So, and then the other thing too, I know you know about. You're a Lake Fork guy, right?
Yeah.
I know you know about with all this water. And luckily, the lake below, Lake Louisville, is flooded to the max too. If they pull the plug on that dam, fishing sucks. like sucks. I don't know what it is about North Texas, Fort, all these lakes around here, Sam Rayburn and Toledo Bend too. When they pull current through after heavy rains, through the dam and suck it all out, like you can't even see the current. The fish just know that the plug is pulled and the water's slowly coming down, and they just like suspend and get off the banks and get up. It's the toughest thing.
Yeah,
why is that?
It's like my opinion on it for Fort, because it's a big deal for it.
Yeah.
And my opinion on it is that these lakes, like Fort doesn't have a river. Technically, there's a river, but it's like the headwaters of the Trinity River on Ray Roberts. It's like not really a river that way. So these are fairly big lakes that just don't have a lot of fluctuation most of the time. So when they get sudden fluctuation, those fish just don't know what to do. Either that or we don't know where they set up when it does. One of the two. Like we're so used to fishing these lakes with stable conditions, but otherwise, when it all of a sudden changes, their behavior changes, they shut down, and we don't know how to do it.
Yeah, that's a good explanation. It's easier when the water's rising, because they're just going to the
That's the visual, that's the simple, right.
But when it's falling, you're right, they don't deal with that a lot, especially when it's abrupt.
It's like when the bar's out of whiskey, I don't know what to do. Like, where am I supposed to go? You're a bar.
There's going to be plenty around it. Yeah, you need to go tonight. There's a kickoff party over at the Drover Hotel. It's a nice hotel, dude.
Sold to the lowest bidder. This guy right here.
Right on, man.
Go freaking win this
bro.
thing, dude.
I appreciate it, man.
It's great to finally
Thank
get to
you so
talk to
much.
a person. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Also, anytime.
Just in case you didn't think it was going down in Fort Worth, it's going down in Fort Worth, and we're having a bass fishing party. Like I said, I'm right here at the gates to the stockyards. In fact, that's the infamous Billy Bob's Texas right there behind me. The gates are right here. I'm about to take you guys inside. Right now we've got a launch party going on. This is right before the first day of the Classic. The Classic starts tomorrow morning at 6:15 a.m. But here we are at about 6 p.m. the night before, and there's a party going on somewhere back here in the stockyards. It's a bass fishing party. Let's go check it out. Talking about daggone, come and take it. You know what I'm saying? Come and take it. Good luck, Mexico. Pulling me in like a magnet. Your eyes are locked on me. You right that I had to have it. It's right here in the middle of the hole in a wall on the back street. You had to get close. We ain't gonna be in this bar too long. We'll be sticking on out to your car. Feeling to sit out there in the dark. Yeah, it might be too soon to say I love you, but you're gonna make me want to. Yeah, you're gonna make me want to. Those days when the town was the whole world and love was the girl that stole the soundtrack and song in the dark. I miss those days when our dreams was in. You're gonna want this back. You're gonna wish these days I hadn't gone by so fast. These are some good times. Just take a good look around. You may not know it now. So as you can see, big to-doings, vendor booths, concerts. Hey, we snuck into the sideshow, the side saddle saloon, because you know we are the sideshow Billy Lawless, as Mercer likes to say. I was hoping to link up with Mercer. He couldn't make it here tonight. He's still doing sound stuff at the arena for the Classic, but we'll definitely be catching up with him tomorrow morning, sometime over the next few days. We're gonna link up with Mercer, but man, it's going down in there. As you guys can see, it's a great time to be had by all, man. Come check out the Fort Worth Stockyards, and if you ever get a chance to go to the Classic, make sure you don't just go to the weigh-in. You don't just go to the expo. Find out where all the parties, all the events are happening, because it goes down like no other. This is the biggest party associated with bass fishing that I've ever seen in my life. Hands down, nothing compares. I don't know what MLF does at their stuff, but if it's anything like this, holy cow, Bassmaster, you're killing the game. This is unbelievable. So much fun. It's very family friendly in here, yet you can have adult fun as well. Listen, you can have adult fun as well. I'm just saying, like a little bit of brown water. Cheers, y'all, from the Bassmaster Classic in the stockyards. Hey, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this little tour of what goes on at the Classic, outside of the Classic, which is what we were trying to bring you today. Just wanted to bring you the full Classic experience, and this is definitely part of it. It's a very good part of it. So thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time right here on your Lake Fork Guide. Cheers, y'all. It's a Bassmaster Classic, Texas style. I'll get that stuff in my beard later. Don't worry about it.